Welcome to the Stoned Heen View, a podcast series which interviews a range of sport club representatives and leading professional sport club personnel during the COVID-19 shutdown period. We find out what these people are doing during the current health crisis with some of our most popular winter sports seasons postponed. This podcast that we're doing today is sponsored by JarCutta Cricket, and thanks to the compliments of Shane Cutajar of JarCutta Cricket. And I'm Mark Heenan, and my co-host today is Mark Stone. Now, Stoney, we've come back from some of our big episodes, and this is a big episode too, but this is a bit of a local legend, someone that's a great sporting club volunteer on the Ballerine, but also a great legend of his club.
Well, they always talk about the mayor of Ballerine, and this man may just go and cut the mustard for that. So we'll just wait and see what happens there, who knows? Yes,
well, he's a very popular man, and today's guest, obviously, a renowned cricket figure on the Ballerine, the leading run scorer for the Drysdale Cricket Club. He's one of 5 players to play 500 matches or more in the Ballerine Peninsula Cricket Association. He became the 3rd player to reach the 500-game milestone in 2016-17. The medal for the man of the match in the Ballerine Peninsula Cricket Association representative match is named in his honour. He was a finalist in the Viva Energy Club Legend Award in 2018, which celebrate the best role models within sports clubs and sporting club volunteers across the Greater Geelong region. He stood down as president of the Drysdale Cricket Club at the club's most recent annual general meeting. He's held many roles across the Drysdale Cricket Club and also the Ballerine Peninsula Cricket Association, including a stint as the BPCA president. We welcome to the Stoned Heen View podcast, Rob Malcolm of the Drysdale Cricket Club. Welcome, Rob.
Great to be with you, boys, and it's a pleasure to be on the Stoned Heen View. And for you, Mark, I can let you know that there was a letter delivered to my father, and it was written on as the Mayor of Drysdale, and actually got to him, and that was about 25 years ago. Drysdale changed a lot since then, though.
Well, one of the things too, Rob, you've been on the committee for 43 years, and we know that you're only 62. No, you're not 62, but you're under the age of 60, so that's okay. Now, Rob, I'm going to ask you something, or actually I'm not going to ask you something. I'm actually going to tell you something before I ask the first question, and we're going to rotate the questions today. Interesting that, we've come out of people like Gary Hocking and Tiffany Cherry and Michael Barlow. Lots of information to gather on the internet, lots of information. You type in their name to Google. And, one of the first things that come up when it came into Rob Malcolm on Google, president, what his address was, obviously the Viva Club Sport Legend Award. But you know what? I reckon, Rob, for all the great things that you've done within your club, you're also a nasty piece of work, because everything that I had to try and view on you was I had to go through a paywall. So Uncle Rupert, Mr. Murdoch, that runs News Corp, was telling me that I had to pay to view your content. Can you believe that?
You pay for what you get, Mark. That's the whole point. And you've got to pay for the best. So that's why Uncle Rupert's got it under control, mate.
Well, he has, and I love the fact that you've got the great historic cap from Drysdale as well. But I'm actually going to start off a little bit more of a serious note. So this week, the Ballerine Peninsula Cricket Association had their AGM, and when we do this podcast, we're going to be coming on air through our audio and visual platforms mid to late August. So we're about, generally cricket season starts at the start of October. You were involved in a meeting, I believe it was held on Zoom, and thanks to Aaron Malcolm out there that's listening to our podcast and watching our podcast, who is one of your sons that's helped with this, and I know that he's a school teacher by trade as well, so he's probably used to the Zoom meetings. But talk to me about what come out of the AGM this week. I understand there's a draft structure to play one-day games, but there's no dates being set. Just talk about what happened this week, as you're also a delegate of the Drysdale Cricket Club when it comes to the BPCA as well.
So basically, the structure of the BPCA didn't change with the executive going forward next year as well, so no changes there. But they put forward 9 different proposals for the season to commence. But as everybody is at the moment, we're up in the air until actually when it will commence. They've scheduled to commence on time, and we're going to start the season with 7 one-days and then follow their 7 two-days, which is the normal structure. But they've put some other ones in place where if it starts later, they can reduce. They've got a the 21 one-day season draw. So everyone plays every 3 times. They've got T21s in there as well too. If they lose a few weeks and have enough to play everybody twice, it's very important for our association. Everybody plays everybody twice, like once in a 1 day and once in a 2 day. So if there's not enough available weeks, you've got all bases covered to fill the season in with, as I said, it could be 21 1-days this year, or it could be the normal season of 7 and 7.
Rob, I've got to ask you a question. You're a legend of the competition, legend of this area in the Bellarine. Your father, did he give much choice about playing cricket or other sports? Were you always the cricketer, or were you good hand-eye and could have chosen any sport you liked? But obviously cricket was the one.
Cricket was the one, Mark, that I've always played. I wasn't much good at footy because I was a little porker when I was younger. I didn't, hence my nickname, Fat Legs and Piggy is when I was a little fella. I had trouble with my legs when I was about 12, 13, when I actually started to grow because I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't walk, so I didn't play football. I played under 11 football, under 13 football, and didn't play again until under 17. So I wasn't that much good at it anyway. And B, when I did grow, I grew 1.5 foot a year, and I was a complete stick. So Dad never started playing cricket until he was 38, I think, when we were out here. And he was one of the mainstays of establishing the Drysdale Cricket Club and the BPCA. Yeah, it was always going to be cricket for me. I've always loved it and always done it.
Now, Rob, one of the things too, you've had some roles within the Drysdale Club, and I mentioned to him last night when I gave him a call was Ian Caldwell is going through as the most lengthy person as the president of the Bellarine Peninsula Cricket Association. I think he's into his 9th year. But you've also stood down, and essentially what this podcast is a lot about is what sports people are doing during COVID. Recently, in the last few months, the club had their AGM. Now, not only did you stand down, but there was a process in place. I don't know if 20 was the maximum guest, but can you just talk to me about when you had the AGM, you standing down, but also the parameters that were in place with COVID-19 and how people could interact and participate in it without being there?
Well, basically, we had our AGM 2 months later than normal, because obviously for the restrictions, but we couldn't have it at our rooms, and we had to, thanks to the community centre at Drysdale, Springdale Community Centre, they were able to go into there. We had to abide by all the restrictions, only maximum of 20 people, distance chairs out. I mean, 20 for an AGM is, if you get that many, you're amazing anyway, as it always is. But we had to register our names, etc., all the details, sanitising, all that sort of stuff. It went. Actually, we had I think we had 19, which is a great turn up for our AGM. And I don't know whether that's people just want to get out for the night and get out of the house for a minute. But it all went very well and transferred over. And David Sykes has taken over as president of the club, which is great for the club. A different voice. He's a passionate person, a passionate player, and he eats and breathes cricket and drives the cricket club, so he'll be a great president going forward.
Rob, have you ever thought about giving it away? I mean, obviously you've been playing a long time, 500 games is a massive effort, but has your wife ever said to you, and she must be a great lady, your wife, because to allow you to play cricket for so many seasons, has she ever said to you, hey, let's go on a bit of a trip? I mean, you can't at the moment because of COVID, but let's go around Australia or let's go on a holiday somewhere?
Well, you're very true. The wife is an absolute superstar and the love of my life, to put up with me for the last 39 years we have, and the 3 boys. She's been surrounded by cricket and males, and she's enjoying having daughter-in-laws at the moment, so that's and granddaughters, so that's she's finally got some females about. But no, I said to her one year, I said, I might have a year off, and her reply was, I don't want you hanging around here on a Saturday afternoon. That's my afternoon to get away. You bugger off and play cricket. That's what I'll be playing until I physically can't be playing, because she doesn't want me at home, mate. I can tell you, on Saturday afternoons. It's bad enough during the winter.
Now, Rob, I have on good authority, there's a few nicknames, obviously, the veteran, but the one that comes up was Band-Aid. But the other story that I got told recently was that you were coming out to bat once, and you were, doing, the Merv Hughes sort of, stretching up and all that. And you stretched up so much that you collapsed and you couldn't go out to the crease. Is that true?
Well, I'll tell you the full story just so you get it right. You're pretty well right. Larry Gregan was playing with us at this time. We were playing out at Port Arlington, and I was going out to bat anyway. And as I was walking out to bat, you're right. I just, always a superstition I have: 3 to the left, 3 to the right. Well, I never got to the right and turned around and walked straight back off the ground. Luckily, I couldn't walk, because a lot of times I have collapsed in the ground. People thought I've died when I've been walking here, because I just legs lock. And Larry's exact words were, "You can't be out yet," because I'd only been out about 2 minutes, and I walked off and walked straight back out again. So yes, that did happen, Mark. So.
And the Band-Aid name?
Band-Aid was given to me by a great player at the club, Graham Johnson, and he's got a version and I've got a version, and my version is that you know what a Band-Aid does, don't you? It fixes everything. That's my version. Jono's got a different version, but anyway, I'll stick with my version, right?
Probably relates a little bit to COVID at the moment in a lot of ways that we don't have a cure essentially that's been proven yet, but we're obviously doing preventative things, and you know all the sporting competitions are getting used to that of not playing crowds and not having having so many things in place. And I think one thing that we need to say before you ask your next question, Mark Stone, is that there is a ruling in place that Cricket Victoria has brought down to the local competitions that you can't train at a sporting club facility, and also on the Department of Health and Human Services that no sporting facilities and community club facilities can be used under stage 3 restrictions until about September 13, and that Cricket Victoria has brought that in for all the community clubs across the state.
Rob, just now our sources, Mark and I have had some really good sources about your information or your career, and I asked a question about what Rob Malcolm's best shot was, and this person told me that he was a very good hooker, and in fact he was a leg side player and he could never get LBW. Now, is it correct that you were a very fine hooker and puller, but certainly on your legs, you're sensational, I believe.
I'm strong with legs. Originally, I wasn't a good hooker or puller, and I got hit in the face off the top of my bat one day, and I did change my stance. And ever since I changed my stance, I do like it short now. Whereas openly early on, it was. I used to be too square on, not square on and up, and I used to bowl up under my ribs. And I used to get caught trying to fend off a lot. But changed my stance, opened up a bit more, and plus I think they got a bit slower too. So when I got up lower grades, they got a bit slower. So I was happy to play. I think helmets were a big thing when they came in compulsory. I remember we were playing A grade one day, and one of our players got hit in the head and suffered a really serious injury. And ever since that day, everyone's worn helmets. And I think that's improved my perception, because you're always scared of getting. Well, I was anyway, getting worried about getting hit in the head. And then when I did get hit in the head, and it does smart. It's a little 5.5 ounce rock does hurt. Ever since then, yes, I must admit, don't bowl short. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it now.
Now, Rob, we know you, the person that has been a legend of the club, and obviously 43 years of service. Is this, just quickly, will you be going into your 44th season?
No, this will be actually, if you include my juniors from when I first...
Well, I was thinking
seniors. Yeah. Well, seniors will be my 49th season as senior cricket. I played my first game as a 10-year-old with my dad. Over there, but I started playing as an 8-year-old in under 16s as it was then. So I can vividly remember my first day and my first shot and my first run, and a few other bits and pieces that happened when I was an 8-year-old playing under 16s.
What was your first shot, Rob? What was your first score?
6-3 slips for 4 runs. I'm hoping to say that. It was against Port Arlington, and it was one of the McGarrys. Phil McGarry was the bowler. I remember it yesterday, but then we had some things there where there were some really good bowlers there. But yeah, you look at a bloke bowled me a bouncer, and it was a renowned thing there for years and years, and he hit me, and I've never seen my father so angry, because he thought the kid thought it was funny. The little kid, he didn't mean to do it, but it hit me, and I wouldn't play. I didn't play for 2 years after that because I was so frightened, and because I thought, but that was just silly. But anyway, that's history now. It's all...
Well, the reason I said 44th year going in was because I was informed by your son that you've been on the committee for 43 years, and you would have been 2 years of age back then. No, you were only joking, but you were only a teenager back then, so you're a pretty young committee member, which is very interesting. Now, for all your playing accolades, the 201 in a semi-final, I believe, is right up there. But then the next week, it didn't go so well for you and the team. You didn't win the grand final, but you've won a lot of premierships, multiple premiership player, but done a lot of good work and a lot of great things for the club off the field. But one of your most stressful days was when you were the president, when Shane Cutajar, who was on before from JarCutta Cricket. Now, you did win a flag as in the A grade when you were 40 or thereabouts in about 2001. Then you also had to saddle up. And I didn't know if you were having a heart attack when the A grade was doing their business 5 or 6 years ago, because they hadn't won a A grade title for a while. So elation swept through the town of Drysdale when they beat Anglesey at home. And it was a big day for people like the Hardings and obviously the Cutajars and the Lee Allens and those sorts of people.
Yep.
But it was a stressful day for you. Can you talk to me about that day and how you were jumping up and down when there was a wicket or run scored? What was it like in the outer?
Oh, look, it was stressful because my two boys were playing, obviously, and they got went through undefeated the year before and got beaten in the semi-final. They were the best side by far, and it was an opportunity. I thought that they had to do it, but yeah, stressful. We batted first in the first day, and I watched 2 overs and couldn't watch it. And I went and drove and watched Janjak play Anglesey at Barnheads. For what reason, I have no idea. I just drove to get away, and I couldn't watch. So I eventually got back to the ground after tea, because their seconds were playing down at Port, so I went and watched them. And then on the last day, on the Sunday, though, I think Anglesey was 6 for 140, and we're looking good and all that sort of stuff, and it was all over. And then they built a partnership, and I reckon I did about 15 laps to the oval. Our C grade were having our end of the year over in near the scoreboard with free drinks, and I did not have partake in one drink because I kept passing me cans of Jim Beam, and I just couldn't. I was an absolute nervous wreck. Finally, I thought another one's going to slip, because we'd lost. I played in 4 losing ones, and the club has been in 9 grand finals and lost 8 of them. So it was just still that nerves were getting on top of me. But once we got over the line, it was a magnificent day of celebrations and relief, I think, more than anything else.
Rob, pre-season, I mean, I was a footballer and, just an average footballer, but do you look forward to that pre-season when you've got to go out again and, it gets hot and you're a certain person that works hard in their game?
Pre-season for me, Mark, is the Thursday night before the first game. I have 1 hit, and that is it. I go to training and I stand up against the fence and critique players and look at a couple of other older blokes play with me and said, I think it's time for a beer, and off we go. And that's training for me in pre-season going forward there. Yeah, I used to loved it years going back, but no, I'm the worst trainer batting wise. I've never batted well at training, and I've in the last 10 years, I reckon I have a hit before one hit before the season starts, and that's it. I don't have another hit.
Just a quick one also. Your wife, what is, you obviously you've got a really good wife, I mentioned before, but what role was she playing in the club? Because she would have to be part of it, wouldn't she?
Yeah, she's a life member of the club as well. So her services over the years. She does afternoon tea for the boys in A grade every home game, every Saturday. And she's just been heavily involved for the last, we've been married for 39 years, and she's been a part of the club because she's had no other alternative to get down there. But no, her involvement is, she's been on committees and that sort of stuff. But yeah, her thing now is to do afternoon tea for her 2 sons playing the ones. I've asked her to do mine, but no, she looks after her A grade boys. That's her. And Shane will back that up when you talk to Shane. So we come down one day, we finished early, and we said, we all came into the pinch, and she said, go away, this is for my A grade boys, not for you, bugger off. So I thought, okay, right.
You have to make sure too, Rob, that if you're going to go on a honeymoon, or if you're going to go on a season trip, or you're going to be, planning having families, like it can't coincide with the cricket season, can it?
That's exactly right. She was amazed. I think I hadn't missed a game in 35 years or something like that, and then something came up, and I went to Hamilton Island, I think, in October, and she couldn't believe I said yes, because the best one, we went overseas in 1999 and flew back from London, got back from London at 12:51 and on the Friday night, 11:50 on the Friday night, and I played the next day.
That's kind of fine.
Wasn't real good, but anyway. But no, I think I've had last few years, we just have a Saturday off, we go away, something. So.
Well, good stuff. We might just put a little pause on this right now, and then we'll call Shane Cutajar. We'll get him on the chat, okay?
Too easy.
So, Rob, we wanted to talk about an interesting story where I think it was in 1985, you had your bat, which was a GN 100, so a Gray Nichols 100,
yep. And
you snapped the bat. Now, through the powers to be, the bat's been brought back to life, and incidentally, we have the sponsor back on the program, Shane Cutajar from JarCutta Cricket. Shane, just tell us about what's happened here with Rob's bat. It's quite a piece of memorabilia.
It is. And Veteran moved into a new house not that long ago. And when he was moving, he discovered something that he thought that he didn't have anymore. And it just happened to be a very old 1978, I think he told me that he bought it, GN100 scoop. It was in very, very poor condition, and he said, it's yours. You can, if you want to try and fix it, try and fix it. There is a little side story to it as well. He did use it as a bit of leverage. I was thinking of not playing there at one stage, and he did say to me, you will be playing and you can keep the bat if you restore it. So he got the bat for me, and I spent a fair bit of time on it, but there it is, Veteran.
There it is. There's the great piece of memorabilia. Rob, talk us through it.
I can tell you that actually I have seen it, and Shane's done an unbelievable job with it, because if Shane holds it up, if you turn it the other way, Shane, and show the scoop, it's split from where Shane's finger is there, right the way up to the top there, completely in half. The only thing that was holding it together was pigskin, and that was on the Thursday night before the grand final. The semi-final we played this year was 1985, so that when it broke, and I've just kept it up there. And when Shane got a passion for fixing bats, and I thought, well, I've got this here somewhere, and he's done it. It's unbelievable. I reckon you could use it now.
Beautiful bat.
Oh yeah,
It is.
It was unbelievable. That's why I kept it, because I was so upset when it broke. It's like my present one. I'm going to give it to Shane and then see if he'll have to take all the nails out of it that's holding it together. But it's got more nails in it than wood, I think, at the moment, the one I've got. So,
Mark Stone, what a piece of memorabilia, a collector's item.
Yeah, I'll put that in the pool room, Rob. I think you should get it back, put in a screen. But just a quick one for me, how many seasons do you use that bat for, Rob? How many seasons do you use it for that bat?
Oh, I only that one 5, 7, probably 8 or 9. It was like 70s. So when I first came out of juniors, I bought it from Drysdale Sports. I don't know if you people remember Neil Drysdale Sports store in next to where Long John's is. That's probably gone as well too. Long
That's
John's
gone as well.
Yeah, there. And then I bought my other bat from there as well too, which is the one I've still got now, and that's coming up to even old. I think I've had that nearly 25 years, this one. So
that's due for a JarCutta refurb as well, I think, Rob.
Yeah, so I'll happily put JarCutta. I'll take the Grey Nichols ultimate stickers off, and you can put your JarCuttas on there, mate. No drama.
Well, Rob, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you about your cricket career and just get a bit of a paraphrase and a bit of an understanding on what your cricketing life's been like. We've touched on some big things that have happened during the cricket club. There's still a lot to come as well. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out this year with what happens with the COVID period. Also, all the things that you do in the community with regards to Drysdale Cricket Club. So we want to thank you for coming on to the Stoned Heen View podcast for episode 20. We've actually done 2 10s now, so it's been a pleasure to have someone like yourself, which is a local legend of the community and the Drysdale Cricket Club, to be joined by you. So thanks very much.
Pleasure. Anytime, guys. It's been an absolute buzz to have a bit of a reminiscence over some things that I wish I'd forgotten about, and maybe there's something I shouldn't have. Anyway, but thanks very much.
Well, we're just taking a bit of a snippet of that. And Mark Stone, obviously important to get a local legend of the club. And, one of the beauties about this podcast is talking to people that are volunteers within clubs. Yes, they've had lots of great things that have happened to them. They've made big scores, or they've been part of premierships. They've been, part of eras and premierships and all the things that happen within the club. But we don't want to overlook the volunteer, because the volunteer in a lot of ways is essentially what sporting clubs are about.
Yeah, it is about volunteers and what they do for their clubs, and without them, the clubs wouldn't operate. And I can say now, Mark Heenan, on the Stoned Heen View, I've met the mayor of the Ballerine, and I'm very happy about that.
Well, incidentally, there used to be the Shire of Ballerine, but now it's all merged into the city of Greater Geelong. So there are 3 Ballerine ward councillors out there, and Trent Sullivan, Stephanie Asher, and Jim Mason. So I hope at some stage they give this guy an OAM at some stage. But we want to get in touch with you for our next episode. But this episode is not possible without the sponsors. And one man that knows Rob Malcolm is Shane Cutajar. And Shane Cutajar has kindly sponsored us for episode 20. And with his support, it's been fantastic. So to get in touch with JarCutta Cricket, you can log on to JarCutta Cricket on Facebook, www.facebook.com/JarCutta. Or you can log on to Instagram, instagram.com/JarCutta Cricket, or email JarCutta at gmail.com. So at any stage, if you want to get in touch, Shane's going to be busy making some bats during the next period and fixing up bats for people, not just on the Ballerine, but many kids wide and many people that want to get ready for the cricket season. So it's perfect time. So you can get in touch with a guest from sport. You can check out the Stoned Heen View on Facebook, on Instagram. We're also on Apple Podcast, and the Stoned Heen View is on Spotify and Podbean. Our launching platform is Podbean with our audio. And we also have the YouTube channel, Mark Stone, and you're putting up all the episodes there.
Yeah, it's right across every platform we can possibly do, Mark. And 20 episodes of Stoned Heen View. Bring on more, and had a great guest this afternoon.
Yes, and we'll see you next time for episode 21, that is, episode 21. We have a great guest. We're going to be talking about a different sport next week. We're going to be also talking about the effects of the US Tennis Open with a well-known broadcaster who's going to be talking about the impacts of particular events. So we look forward to your continued company next time on the Stoned Heen View. Bye for now.